Hi, and thank you so much for joining me on the Vintage Read Show. Well, as we speak, Prince William is winging his way to Switzerland as patron of the Football Association to support the Lionesses, which is very exciting stuff. I have a lovely photograph of him actually talking to a lioness, and there's a lovely quote too. Good luck to the Lionesses tomorrow. The nation is so proud you are through to the final. After some stunning comebacks, we are all cheering you on. W. Now, when you know that when there's a W at the end of the message, you know that William actually wrote the message himself. So England apparently clinched their place in the final with a last gasp victory over Italy in extra time. So exciting stuff. And I must admit, I'm sort of hoping that he takes Princess Charlotte with him to watch the match, because we all know that she's really into the Lionesses. So I think that that would just be spectacular and really exciting. And no doubt we'll see some wonderful photographs and videos that I'll be able to share with you later in the week. So that's a lovely story about one of the real working royals. But I've got to get on to some hot juice. Of course, you know I have to. And it's about Meghan and her Netflix deal. Now, this is a new hot take from Charlotte Griffiths. Meghan is locked in negotiations for new Netflix deal. And do you notice how the amount of money always changes about the 5-year contract? It goes from 100 million to 20 million a year to now 73 million pounds, according to Charlotte Griffiths. Now, Charlotte, in the Mail on Sunday today, had a completely different take from just about everybody else over the last few days. We were told very firmly that Netflix was consciously uncoupling from Meghan Markle at the end of her 5-year deal. And we must admit that none of that surprised us, because it was very much lackluster performance on all their shows other than the very first Meghan and Harry docuseries. And of course, the interest in that was all about them dishing dirt on the royal family. Once they did that, they didn't really have anything else to capture an audience. But oh no, Charlotte Griffiths has got the inside take. She's got the rather PR-y take, or propaganda take, coming from across the pond. You can always count on Charlotte. She has real contacts within the Sussex camp. So this is what Charlotte says. I told you about them being locked in negotiations. The streaming giant has decided to draw up a new deal with Meghan after Sussex's $73 million 5-year contract. Honestly, these figures, I can't believe it. Reports last week claimed the Netflix were going to drop the couple. Yes, they were. That's what we heard. However, they have decided that the arrangement with them had run its course. But the Mail on Sunday can reveal, this is Charlotte Griffiths' really big reveal, that the second series of With Love Meghan will be the first show to air under the renewed agreement, and it's due for release in autumn. Now, we've been told that it was going to be a first look agreement similar to what Michelle and Barack Obama had. Who knows at this stage? But they're spinning it that there's a renewed agreement, which it might be a renewed agreement to part ways. But of course, they were probably always going to actually air the second series of With Love Meghan because it was in the can. They've already paid for it. She can't actually ship that off to any other streamer because it was made under the auspices of the Netflix deal, under the 5-year deal. So unless she actually pays them back the production money, she's not going to be able to go and ship that off to some other streamer like Paramount, for example. So, it doesn't surprise me that they will be choosing to air that in the autumn. Now, they're claiming, this is a source close to the streaming giant, make no mistake, a deal is being worked through as we speak. Like I said, a deal to part company. That's what I'm guessing anyway. While the finer details remain a closely guarded secret. Well, not that closely guarded secret. I mean, Charlotte apparently was hand-delivered it. It is expected that the Duchess is unlikely to secure the same financial deal she did previously when the couple first walked away from their role as senior royals. Well, that doesn't surprise us. Isn't it extraordinary how Charlotte Griffiths gets these exclusives that just seem to actually mirror exactly the position the Sussex team, the PR team, is pushing out? Let's go back a little and see what the Mail Online was saying just 24 hours ago. And it was from another insider. Insiders claim, and this is in quotation marks. Now, they're not allowed to say that. unless someone actually said this sentence. No one in Hollywood rates them anymore or wants to be around them. Now that I can believe, especially her. I presume her is Meghan Markle. Going to add, and this is more quotation marks, people are bored with them. Can I say that again, just for emphasis? People are bored with them. I can understand that too. This claim certainly seems to hold some truth to it, doesn't it? Now, another unnamed source spoke with the Mail Online and explained that a number of factors resulted in Harry and Meghan actually losing their Netflix deal. Now, bear in mind, this is Mail Online. Then Charlotte Griffiths, 24 hours later, has got this exclusive in the Mail on Sunday. More quotation marks. A nail in the coffin was the apparent failure of Meghan's Napa Valley wine, her rosé, which there was little demand for, among other things. Do they mean the cookies or the flour sprinkles or the pancakes or whatever? Yes, there wasn't much demand, apparently, other than the 10 samples that she put up for sale in the first round and the 20 samples she put up for sale in the second round. Of course, I'm only being satirical. I'm not saying that that's fact. I'm sure she had a lot more products than 10 and 20. I'm just joking. Now I want to share with you a slightly more serious story. Channel 5 actually aired a documentary in the UK last night, and it was, of course, about the story about Sunninghill Park, which Queen Elizabeth II provided £250,000 to Sarah and Andrew to build their beautiful new home after their marriage. And of course, everyone mocked it and called it South York, but we'll get on to the facts of the case. So it was interesting, apparently, that Queen Elizabeth II became very concerned about how much the budget for this new home was actually blowing out. Andrew Loney actually said this. He recalled the moment that the late Queen became fed up with the over-the-top spending. The late Queen was forced to put her foot down and cut off Andrew and Fergie from overspending on the lavish property long before their first marital home had been built. Andrew and Sarah wanted what they wanted, so they just went ahead, really spending like drunken sailors. Now, after the late Queen Elizabeth II put her foot down, that presented a bit of a problem because Sunninghill Park was actually unfinished. So they had to find another source of income. So what did Fergs do? Good old entrepreneurial Fergs. She approached Hello Magazine and she got an advance for £200,000 from them to do an exclusive showing inside their Sunninghill home. Now, I've actually got a photograph of Sunninghill that I can actually share with you while I share the insights people had about South York at the time. Many were quick to criticise the decor of the house, which included countless teddy bears, cushions with trite slogans, and personalised toilet roll holders, including one that actually sang God Save the Queen. Oh, how cute. Isn't that so whimsical and lovely? So that was a story that aired in the Channel 5 documentary. But something makes me absolutely furious, and this is the serious part of the story. It's about Timur Kulibayev, who was a great friend of Prince Andrew's. Now, after Andrew and Fergie actually separated and even after their divorce, South York was up for sale for £12 million. Now, it sat for about 5 years, which is astonishing in itself because it just probably proves the unpopularity of the couple at the time and how their taste was regarded, as rather tacky, and no one was really interested in the property. Many felt that it was overpriced and it just didn't generate much interest, which was surprising to Andrew and Fergie because they thought him being the second son of the Queen, a prince of the realm, that they would be knocked over with buyers actually rushing up to view and purchase the property. But it sat for 5 very long years until a great friend of Prince Andrew's, Timur Kulibayev, I believe he was a great friend. He must have been something because he was willing to overpay for the property by £3 million. Yes, he paid £15 million for the property. So 3 mil over the asking price of a property that had sat there with no one interested in it for over 5 years. Now, Timur was the son-in-law of a former Kazakh president. I believe his nickname was like the Oil Prince. So it's very interesting, isn't it? And don't you find it absolutely gobsmacking that the UK government at the time didn't look very seriously into this transaction? Don't you think it's gobsmacking that it didn't receive more attention? It got a few newspaper headlines, but surely there should have been a proper investigation. At the time, Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, prior to the divorce, were funded by the UK taxpayer. Very much so. And the reason why I'm irate about this is I believe the monarchy is threatened by its shadows. It's only as strong as its shadows, as I've said in a previous video. And so all the bad apples and all the sort of questionable transactions need to be examined. Everything needs to be cleared up. There needs to be full transparency. Now, of course, you know I hold out high hopes for Andrew Loney's book, and I will have the exclusive first interview with him about that book when the book's published on August the 14th. He's coming to our show first. So I hope you'll all support me in that interview and come and watch it when it happens. I'll be heralding it, don't worry. There's no chance you won't know that it's about to happen. But seriously, though, forget Epstein. I mean, just forget it. Nothing is ever going to happen, obviously, on that score. But shouldn't we be looking very seriously at these rather, in my opinion, questionable financial transactions? Maybe it was looked into and they found no case to answer, but it just doesn't look good. Even from the case of optics, it doesn't look good, does it? It doesn't look above board and transparent. And it makes me furious. Because can you imagine the full weight of the law coming down on any of us if we, had a home sitting on the market for 5 years that no one was interested in, and then all of a sudden a foreign entity purchased it for, 3 mil above the asking price? Don't you think that our country's authorities would be tapping on our doors, looking over our shoulder, doing tax audits, things like that? And so it certainly does seem to be one rule for the rich and powerful and another rule for the rest of us. If it makes you furious like it makes me furious, I want you to tell me in the comments down below. And if it doesn't make you furious, well, that's fine too. Leave those comments down below and I'll share them in a future program. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you again really soon. Bye.